Hello everybody. Well, today I wanted to share with all of you just the behind of the last video where I put in on YouTube. This video is how make this software to make the integration with Docusing. And well, let me show you. This is the project. I am implement clean architecture over here, and this part. Well, we have over here the .NET API REST. We are using just JSON Web Token to control the access to the API controllers. But like a second security system, we don't make or we don't put in the context access directly inside the controllers. We put in inside the services throw to the units works. This is the way we can implement the clean architecture. It's a little complex because when you try to make a project like this, if you are not familiar with this kind of architecture, it's a little complex. It's a high difficult because you have to think it's in like three parts. The first part is the backend, like this. Let me show you. This is the front. This is the backend. This is the API controller. And for example, we have over here our controller. Yeah, we API controller. When the front make a call, he called this API, and when he tried to take access to this API, he going to find a request of authentication with a JSON Web Token, and for that reason, this is the first part when make a call to our backend. And for that, look at this. In this case, we call the UniWorks, and the UniWork is like the negotiation between the API controller and the services. Where is the place where we're going to put in there all the logic and all the code where you're going to do wherever you wanted to do. For that reason, for instance, this is the API controller. The call coming here. We request authentication using a JSON Web Token, and at the same time inside that JSON Web Token, we're going to need the role of that user. Depend of the key and the roles, we're going to allow the call come inside to the API controller. And in this case, look at this. Where we have in this controller, we don't have nothing. We don't have access to the data context. We don't expose in any way or path to the SQL server, or I don't know, something specific about our code, no? And here, this is the first part. The second part is going to the UniWorks, okay? And then we come in over here, wherever units of work, and we are here. What we have over here, we receive we received the integration from the API controller, and the API controller called to the UniWorks and say, hey, I need to resolve this. You say, okay, yeah, sure. everything is okay. Maybe I can put it over here extra security if I want, but in this case I just make how say that, I just make the transfer, like the handle the request between the controller and the services. But over here we can make some kind of services, some kinds of security, some kind of maybe a load controller of we want to implement some kind of microservice like Rabbit to can control and register all the requests that are coming from the API, and we wanted to save all that data. Well, we can do it over here, but it doesn't is the case in this case. We just make we just make how to say the handle, you know, between the API controller and the services. Well, this is the implement of the solution. Other thing where I wanted to share with all of you is everything where you're going to code inside a net core project. You're going to have to do it like in dependency injection. Is the best way to make a clean code, right? Because for example, okay, let me finish this part. Okay, I receive and then I receive the call from the API controller. I receive it over here in the unit of work, like an interface called implementation, where is the abstract class with the code where you can resolve that request. But it doesn't this case, because over here we don't going to put any kind of extra service, nothing at all. But if do you need it, you can do it over here. Well, in this case, I just throw the request directly to the services. Okay, in the services, everything work with interface called the implement. Okay, that is the best way to create a solution, a code where it can grow in the future. And for that reason, okay, we have over here the implementation, and that's it. For example, we have, okay, well, let me show you. Over here we have all the code, the really code where are going to doing everything do you need. I don't know. Take a register from the database and deliver it to the API controller, and then the API controller deliver it to the front. Here is everything. Receive the data, process the data, save on the database. Everything, the magic is working here. For that reason, when I told you about the best way to create a software in .NET Core is creating dependency injection, and at the same time the implementation where resolve the interface call, is because let me see if let me see let's go to see the account entity secure, yeah, secure. Okay, in this case, look at this, and okay, corporation, daytime. Let me see what example. Okay, this example, yeah. Okay, In this part, I build the token over here. All right, I build the token over here, and I need to save. I need to take the photo from the Azure Blob. But imagine about this is the principal code, and I have to recover the photo from the Azure Blob. But if I have to do that in another implementation, for example, manager service or user service, I don't know, in so many classes inside the project, imagine about create that code inside each class. That's going to be a big problem, because where are you working? Maybe you start working with Azure Blob public, but maybe in some part of the project, somebody come to you and say, "Hey, look, you are working with Blob public, but we can work with that kind of blob. Do you have to put in private?" And you say, "Oh my God, what are you going to do? Change that code in each classes where I needed that code, or you're just going to go to the interface, then go to the implementation, and inside the implementation you can find the method, and we're going to have the code necessary to can take the files from the blobs, and there you can change. You're going to change the code and put in, okay, the blobs is public, now it's private. I just need to change this line. It's done. It's totally done. Okay, what happened when you're doing in that way? Well, you can have maybe the account service, manager service, yeah, because over here, let me see, here is the account service, user service, yeah, here we need to recover the picture from the blobs, right? Delete image. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, do you see? I need to save, for example, in this case, in the user service, I need to save the image in a blob, in an Azure Blob, right? And at the same time, I need to do it in the over here in the manager. I need to save. Let me see. I need to save two image inside the Azure Blobs. Okay, in this case we have two, but I have others too. I'm not sure. I think what's corporation too use the same interface. Look at this, save image. Three classes where I use the same thing, the same code. What happens if I put in here one code, and in manager I put in the code, and in the account put in the code? When I have to change something, I need to remember in where part of the code I implement that code, and going for each class and change it. And no, man, that's something so really crazy. You can do that. For that reason, we create in all the time. In this case, for example, in clean architecture, we create a class library that I call it app infra. Inside of over here, I put in this files helper, and inside this file helper, I create the interface where I call it iFile storage. And over here I put all the interface where I'm going to handle to create an image, to create a file, create an image, create a file, and remove image, or you can get a file. And get a file in base64, or just get a blob using UrSas. That is a kind of access to the to files or image with a URL, where includes a little token to can read that that file, that image, just for a limit time, where you can handle that a little time. You can put the time exactly where do you want to keep alive that URL, and that's just for security, and that's it. And when you have the interface over here, you can go down to the file storage, and you say, I have this is my abstract class, because the abstract class is the class where I'm going to have all the methods where I can call it for by the interface. Okay, and then this is the structure. Interface have all the names inside the abstract class, and that name is going to be all the methods. Where is the method? The method is going to be all this process where I'm going to need to do something exactly what I want. For example, if I wanted to save an image inside Blob Storage, I use over here this. I'm going to use this code. For example, blob containers create. I put in this set access police. Look at this. This part. Okay, let me explain you. This code is going to create a blob container. It's going to save a file or image inside Azure Blob. But the first line where you're going to read is this one is going to Azure, and he's going to say, hey, look, this is my Azure storage, my credentials, and this is the container name. I'm going to need access to this container name. I say, hey, sorry, if the container name doesn't exist in that moment, with this line, he's going to create that container, and at the same time, when we're going to say, hey, everything what are you going to do inside that container is going to implement this solution, this kind of access. In this moment, he's going to say public access type is none. That's going to mean where the container or the blob is going to be private. Okay. You need a keys to can do everything that you want inside that container. Save, read, edit, or delete. Right? And this is the code. And over here, in just one place, I can control the code where I'm going to need to get the files, save files, and all of these kind of things. Well, this is so really cool, because my first class to handle files inside the Azure blobs was a little small. Let me show you if I. Oh, look at this. This was my first code to can save, to can remove files inside the Azure, but it was something like that. It was just something a little, just little, and don't do nothing. I don't know. important, and now I create this little class where I have all the kind of MIME type. The MIME type is going to give you is going to give to Azure Blob idea about how to treat all your files, and when do you get the file from the Blob Azure, depend of the content on metadata where I'm gonna have that file, and the URL SAS is going to allow you to download that file, or just allow you to make a preview about that files. That's what I do. For example, look at here. This is a get blob SAS URLs, and over here I say first download. I pass this param to the class that is called first download, and this allow me to select over inside the code if I wanted to remove the content and the MIME type from the headers of that files, and that when I receive that address from the background from the backend, the front end say, hey, look at this. This is to make a download. Hey, no, this is to make a preview, and that's it. So really easy. All depend about this little code. Okay, all depend over here. Well, this is for handle all kind of that things. Let me explain just a little more about my structure. This is structure my architecture. Here we have the backend is a .NET Core API using JSON Web Token, and we are working over here with SQL Server. Everything is working on Azure, right? Everything. SQL Server on Azure, Blob containers on Azure. We are working with Docusing and all the process and all that kind of stuff. Just working with Azure. Okay, here is our front. We are working with Azure. With Blazor Assembly. We are working with Blazor Assembly. I love Blazor Assembly. The best part of working with over just one technology is because you can make, for example, this is the model, right? And here I have just one place where I put in all my models, and I put in inside all the condition, all the attribute where I'm going to implement over that property. And what happened if I send them to the I need that model inside the background in the backend. I just make a reference to the models, and I say, hey, the model is going inside in try domain or this one, and then what happened? He'll allow me work with that model. At the same time, if I wanted to work in the app front, where is the Blazor Assembly, and what is the best part in Blazor Assembly, where I don't need to make a part, a class part to control or to handle where a property is going to be required, or what a property is going to be have a max length or something like that. It's just putting inside the model over here, and we can work with this attribute from anywhere do you want. And that's the best part of working with .NET technology. Everything all over .NET technology. Well, this is app infra. Inside over here is going to have, we can find the data context, or data context inside we can find some kind of utilities, the mappings. In .NET 9 you can use any more RMapper. You can use Mapster, right? Mapster. Working it works like the same way like our mappers, but Mapster is already light. It's almost the same thing, but just for a reference, look at this. It's something like this. Something little what I did it in with Mapster. The file helper, I put in over here some kind of helpers. I can control files, some kind of user, how we're going to control the user or the access of user to the EF system, because we are working with identity user from .NET. Over here I use the transaction. I implement everything all the time. I implement the begin transaction inside my code, because that allows me control what it's going to implement, or what it does or what it doesn't, and what moment, or if everything is running okay. And he finished the last line. He reached the last line of the code, and in that moment I can say commit all the transaction, and that alert all the transaction is physically putting inside the database. That's a big solution, the best way to work with database, because for example, if you do control that begin transaction, in the first part you say, hey, delete this register, and then begin transaction, and now create this register. But if for I don't know, whatever reason the code failed, you're going to have a big problem, because the first transaction was outside from the begin transaction, and for that reason that transaction was already inside the database, and now you have a problem. And I think what is the way you can find in many solution problem with that kind of double registers, or register without relation, some kind of stuff. No, well, for finish, the domain is going to have all my models, the domain logic, all the some other kind of models, and the DTOs models. Over here is going to be HTTP services. I central over here all my call HTTP and my auth authorization, and the way how I put in the token, the JSON web token inside the headers to send that request to the backend. Here, and this is the part of the services and the part of the unit of work. Well, this is behind the scenes. You know, this is the behind the scenes of the last video. And in the last video I was talking about how create a little software to can sign up a document, a PDF document, using Docusing, and how made the integration between Blazor Assembly, .NET Core, and Docusing, and all the validation I did it in behind of code using just JSON Web Token grant. That is a way authorization from Docusing that allow you work everything from the from the backend, and that is the best way because you don't compromise anything about your token or your client ID or nothing at all with a reference. With security is the best way. Well, this is a little part. Well, I'm going to make a new video on it. I'm going to show you. I love to work, and every day I say the best way to work today is Blazor assembly because it's the best, and he allows you to implement JavaScript without any problem. Because I have a little project where I make a sign up, but I did it using Canva, and that I did it just make a little JavaScript reference. I put it inside the Blazor assembly, and I call that JavaScript inside the C#. I run that script, and that allow me take the sign like the signature like a image, and send it to the backend, and the backend have the file, have the sign, and put it inside, and that's it. Well, thank you. See you soon. Bye bye.